When we surf the net, we have the right to be safe and to use what that new technology can offer. It's important to know our rights online to have a safe and positive experience. When we surf the net, we have some rights. For example, the right to protect our identity online, to not give out our personal information without a permission, and to express with respecting others people. And the right to be protected against viruses and spam.
Every time you are online, you use information like real threats. Something like this can be used against you. If you register to subscribe to a service, for example, to receive a daily horoscope, your data could be used to bombard your inbox with unwelcome published email. It's called spamming. Or to do market research. If you decide to make a purchase online with a credit card, you are sure to no one can steal your own data, and also your money. For example, the real world versus the virtual world. Both in the real world and online, privacy is protected by law. Okay? Even though most of the legislation has been written before the internet era, or the laws considering, for example, slander and copyright still applied to the web. You have the right to protect your own privacy, but also the duty to respect the privacy of the others.
The admins of each website have the responsibility to make sure that everything that is published on the website doesn't break any laws. Individual countries set rules about the use of the internet in their national law. The European Union has also set common rules about the use of the web. You know that the 16th article overview about the right of the children states we can have a private life, also in their family. Amongst the biggest risks in the internet, there is an identity that from 1999 to 2003 in USA, 27 million people suffered an identity that not.
For example, finding information, they have to think who has published the information, can we trust the source of the information, and do we have to ask for permission to use it? Do we have to mention the source of information on the file? And then too, when finding music, movies, games, etc. Downloading breaks the law, and then we have to think who has the copyright for the piece. Copyright on school. Students have copyright for their own work in the work. Remember that also teachers have copyright. Don't copy long parts of the text straight from the internet to your work. And you can quote short parts of the text if it's relevant on your work and your vision results. Okay, and then something more about copyright. So copyright gives creator of any original work a right to protect the product. The original work can be a book or a painting or a song or whatever that's like self-independently created. But copyright only covers real products, not ideas or thoughts of new ideas. So if you thought about making some new product that could sell, you only have to copyright after you have started to produce it. And the copyright was first invented to prevent the people from copying it without permission, so spreading the product without the creator's permission. And the creator holds the copyright, his or her whole lifetime, and then depending on the country and the product, about 50 to 70 years after the death. And copyright doesn't always stop or forbid all kinds of copying of the product. For example, in the United States, there's this fair use doctrine, so you're allowed to use something that's protected with the copyright without the permission, but you have to notice that it depends on the purpose of the use. Maybe if you're going to sell something, of course you cannot use it without permission. So you have to think what you're using it for. And then the idea of the internet is like spreading information worldwide, and it has a contradiction between, like, with the copyright, because the copyright is trying to stop the uncontrolled spreading of information. So some of the laws considering copyrights are becoming impossible to enforce because of internet. And piratism, which is the illegal use of products protected by copyright, is becoming more and more frequent. And usually, most often, piratism targets music in Iceland, Par exemple, concernant chaque forme, les femmes critiqueurs Trading is the editing of the software for copies collection. Phishing is a technique of tracking which is used to gain access to personal information. Paper is a kind of software that collects information about the user related to someone. Spam sending large amounts of activity on the computer. This week of protection, sometimes someone can take possession of your data. There are great hackers that can detect internet service or even try to protect all data about humanity. And it is always good to be careful about how we do the And then more. If you meet someone online, it's best maybe not to give them too much personal information about you. And always keep your usernames and passwords to yourself and try to make them difficult to read. Good websites should tell you about the privacy policies and how are they going to use your personal data. Always read the policies carefully so you understand where and what your information will be used. Never open a file from an unknown sender because it can put your computer at risk of catching a virus.
So Pythagoras was born in Samos, the Greek island of the Greek Eastern Agency. The horizon of Samos was a large sanctuary to be called as Hera in the southern region of Summit on the UNESCO World Heritage list from 1992. And unfortunately, it stood for only about a decade before it was totally an earthquake. He was a famous Greek philosopher and mathematician. We don't exactly know where he lived as a young, but he traveled a lot: Egypt, Arabia, Phoenicia, Judea, Babylon, India. In his 60s, he moved to Metaponto in Italy. Metaponto is a small town of about 1,000 people in Florence or Matera in southern Italy.
Here. So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So, for example, how to calculate the diagonal of the TV if we know the height, okay, and the width of the screen here. So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We got the c equals root of the here 60.96 squared plus 81.28 squared equals 101.6 centimeters. The diagonal of the TV.
So one example, how many meters of steel rope you need for engineering current of transmitter which is 355 meters high. It will be anchored by 4 ropes from each side. Ropes will be anchored in all quarters of transmitter and on the ground in the adjacent pairs into concrete pillars. Distant pillar will be 360 meters from the base of transmitter, and closer pillar will be 200 meters from base of transmitter.
So the theorem of Pythagoras is only for triangle rectangle, but we can use another relation invented by Arkashi for all the other triangles. So for example, for a triangle like that, we have a relation with beta different than 90 degrees, because if beta equals to 90 degrees, cos beta equals to 0, and we find the relation of Pythagoras.
So, Goethe, a famous philosopher of the 6th century, wrote about the relationship between Pythagoras and music. One day, Pythagoras was walking in front of a smith and he heard that smashing a hammer produces a sound and different hammers produce different sounds. Pythagoras weighed the hammers and found that they have built a mathematical relationship of 12, 9, 8, and 6. The intervals found by Pythagoras are called 4, 5, and 8, counted from the note produced by the Eris hammer. And so the number is very important and it's at the base of everything.
Alrighty, and Ilya Yuzela is a Finnish artist and she uses the theorem to make patchworks. And here we can see Ilya Yuzela's work going to the spiral of spiral. And here are some famous persons that have proved the theorem. Euclid, about 900 before Christ, David Kura, Arabian mathematician and physician, Leonardo da Vinci from Italian, and the US President James Carter.
Hi everybody, our subject is humanity and we will talk about this. So this is the definition of sustainable development. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Okay, now we're going to talk about sustainable development in all Russia and Finland. So the sustainable development group in our high school is about raising an awareness about the sustainability of the society and also the students in our school. And the group has been working for a couple of months, and the group meets at least once a week to talk about their ideas and issues about what they should do in order to create an impact on our school and beyond. And what do the Sustainable Development Group
among the pupils in our school. And by this time, the group has done very different kinds of projects. And in the first project, we watched that how students took care of rings and dishes after eating. And all of those who didn't waste any food got some cookies as a prize. And the second project was about how to use the electricity in our schools, especially by closing down computers to use. And in the third project, the group raised some money for the Red Cross and also organized flea markets during our school day. And during this day, students brought some stuff they didn't need anymore to the flea market. And all the students who went to the market, they got to take anything what they wanted from the market as a free, or they also got to pay if they wanted to. And after the day, all the money was given to the Red Cross. And I think this day was really good because we had to keep some stuff at home if you really don't need it or if you're not using it.
All I was saying before the Roosevelt High School, there was a new section in our high school which is called STI2D, how to create wind power, how does mobile phone work. There are examples of questions we try to answer to in this section. All subjects are focused on the main theme, sustainable development. There are 4 ways in this sector: architecture and construction, energy and environment, technological innovation and eco-design, and fortunately, information systems and digital devices.
So, first, we are talking about architecture and construction. So, students have to work on an architectural system based on sustainable buildings, like sustainable buildings. It can concern performance of construction or home automation. The students also learn what to do of the energy design. Now, in the other part, energy environment, we are looking back to the work to find the 10% to solve technical problems connected to energy. They also pay attention to the consequences of the choice.
So, the third is eco-design and technological innovation. From sustainable development point of view, the goal of students is to create parts and mechanisms with recycled materials and saving energy. The final is information system and digital. For this sector, the goal is almost like technological innovation and eco-design, except that this is much more theoretical. In fact, there is much more manipulation on computer because they need to check standard of sustainable development.
An example of sustainable development in our school are the photovoltaic panels installed in 2009. As we know, solar panels are used to transform solar energy into a useful energy and heat for human activities. In particular, the photovoltaic system is aimed at producing electricity for normal domestic use. A good reason to install them is that they allow at least 25 years to lower their spending on electricity. Solar energy is a clean and renewable research essentially for life on Earth and also give us a chance to relieve ourselves for weight of electricity bills. In this way, we can try to improve the quality of our life.
In our school, we have an ecological group who work in the afternoon once a week to keep our school clean and pull up with and rubbish. So we have 3 types of garden. We have the medieval garden, the Renaissance garden, and the Baroque garden. And also a small lake with the fish and the lake plants. So, it is important to us to do waste sorting. We separate the paper from the plastic, from the glass, and the organic waste to keep our school clean. And improving this is a little step to improve the quality of our school and our city. Thank you.
Hello, we'll present you the golden ratio. So, you have to know that the golden ratio is symbolized by the letter phi. The golden ratio is an irrational number, approximately equals to 1,61. And you can find this ratio in art, in aesthetics, in architecture, arts, we have nature and medical. The first mathematician who today this ratio were Greek. In math, the golden ratio is done by this equation, but it's better but you can understand this equation by this geometric representation. Here you have the length A plus B. Here the length A. So you have this ratio, and here you have A and B for this ratio. Okay. This is an example of art where you can find the golden ratio with this kind of cycle. The golden ratio is also integrated in monuments like the Parthenon here. For example, here you have the length of the Parthenon and here the base, and the ratio of the length on the base is equals to the golden number. So here you can see a lot of decimal of the golden ratio.
Now I'm going to talk about proportion. Human beings research perfection, and the number of perfection in art is the rules of proportion, unchanging during the time. We can consider three different characters from three different ages and see how they share the same idea that the man is the measure of everything, and everything has to be measured on him. The first one is Polyphemo from the ancient period, and he was a sculptor and painter of the last classical period. He studied the perfect relation between the different parts of the human body. And we can see that the eye of the man is 8 times the eye of his head. Then we have Leonardo da Vinci and his drawing, the Pictura Man, from the modern period. And it is a male figure with his arms and legs in a circle and in a square. Then we have Le Corbusier from the contemporary period, and the unité de l'habitation developed by Le Corbusier is the basis of several housing developments. That is the proportion of a building in relation to the human measures. Where we have an example. That's all. is arrived in the second half of the 19th century and it lasts 10 years. And these are techniques of painting in which small mixing dots pure color and apply in contrast to Roman images. And the leading members of this movement are Paul Signan and George Seurat, who were two French artists, and they studied the color from a scientific point of view, and they consider their work as unexpressionist. We use complementary colors and research on light and color, leaving aside the white and the black. And the artistic continues to put together the primary colors to small dots and fusion of colors in the routine of the art. And after the Pointillism, there was the Divisionism in Italy, and which was based on various modes of color. And one of the most important artists in Italy was Constantine. And at the end, we have Andy Ski, who was an expressionist who studied the colors and the musicality.
It's still right there. No. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry that we are missing one page. So I'm going to tell you about romantic naturalism, and it was in the world about the 19th and the 20th century. And in romantic naturalism, people admired their own culture and history and art and mythology and nature was important to the in the paintings. You can see the topics are used in nature and culture and land. In Finland, romantic naturalism was strong, and we call time the period Golden Age, which was in 1818 from 1818 to 1914. It was the same as to the First World War, and in the romantic naturalism, it is important in the idea of the own country. Now, one of the most known the well-known international painters is Galliano. He's Finnish painter, and he lived in 1865 to 1931. And he's famous about his paintings about Finnish natural ethic Kalevala. And Kalevala was written by Elias Leroux. And actually Kalevala's works are mostly romantic naturalism, realism, and symbolism. And actually, Kalevala studied in Finland, France, and several other countries. And then there is some most known pieces of art. This is the Curse of Ularo, and there are
street installation. Typically, for example, street art and more specific photo applications used to distinguish from territorial graffiti, vandalism, and corporate art. Motivation and objectives of the brand for the artists are swayed from the artists themselves. There is a strong current of activism and subversion in modern art. Each art can be a powerful presence from the colleague and defend them to advantage. Subversing and agricultural technique private property and reclaiming the streets.
Okay, here are some examples of street art artists. Above from America, Zelensky from Britain, images from France, and from Italy, Islam, and graffitis writing that is or inspiration wall or other surface in public place. In modern times, paint and market have become the most common used graffiti material. In most countries, making or painting protection without property owners concept is considered as vandalism, which is functional crime. And here are some pictures from street art.
Okay. Now we are talking about speed. Speed is a scalar quantity that refers to how fast an object is moving. Speed can be thought as the rate at which an object covers a distance. A fast-moving object has got high speed and covers long distance in short time. A slow-moving object has got low speed and covers small amount of distance in the same amount of time. An object with no movement has got no speed. A speed v is defined as the magnitude of the velocity v, but also the velocity is speed in a given direction. Speed describes solely how fast the object is moving, while velocity describes both the speed and the direction of the motion. In the end, we can say that speed is a scalar and velocity is a vector.
Yes, and take a look at the average velocity v. And the average velocity is an object moving through a displacement s during a time interval t. It's described by the formula over here. V is equals to s over time t, where the s is distance between the initial and final positions, and the time is t is the amount of time it takes to move from the initial state to the final position. And yes, let's take a look at the units. So the s is meters and the t is seconds. So when you add them to the formula of v, s over time is meters over seconds. So the unit is meters per second, and that's the SI unit. But mostly we use the unit of kilometers per hour. Yes, and here you can see that example. If car moved at 50 kilometers per 2 hours, so then the average velocity is 25 kilometers per hour when you insert them to the formula.
Okay, so there are some examples of fastest animals, humans, and players. The fastest animal in the air is a falcon. It flies 200 kilometers per hour, and the fastest plane on an plane is X-43A, and it flies 11,000 kilometers per hour.
The fastest animal on the ground you can see is the cheetah, and it runs 120 kilometers per hour. Fastest human on the ground is Usain Bolt, who runs 37.58 kilometers per hour, and the fastest car is a NSA Venom GT. It drives 437 kilometers per hour. The fastest animal in the water is a tuna, and it swims 70 kilometers per hour. The fastest boat is a Forestly and Squardy SCAM 88, and it sails for 265 kilometers per hour.
The speed of light in vacuum. Usually denoted by c, it's a physical constant important in many areas of physics. It's nearly 300 million meters per second. A figure that is the exact size of length of meters is defined from this constant and the natural standard of time. According to special relativity, c is the maximum speed at which all energy, matter, and information in the universe can travel. It's the speed of all massless particles and associated fields, including electromagnetic radiation such as light in vacuum, and it's predicted by the current theory to be the speed gravity, that is the gravitational wave. C interlates speed and time and appears in the Paris equation of mass energy equivalence right here. E equals mc squared caused by Albert Einstein. Here we can see in this picture the distance between the sun and the earth, and the sunlight takes about 8 minutes to go.
Now let's talk about speed of sound. The speed of sound is the distance traveled during a unit of time by a sound wave propagating through an elastic medium. In dry air at 20 degrees, the speed sound is 343 meters per second. This is 1,236 kilometers per hour, or about 1 kilometer to 3 seconds. Or approximately 1 mile to 2 seconds.
So, the effect for the ship. Named after Austrian physicist Christian Doppler, who proposed it in 1842 in Prague. It's the change in frequency of the wave for an observer moving relative to the source of the wave. It's commonly heard when a vehicle sounding a siren or horn approaches, passes, and recedes from an observer. The received frequency is higher compared to the emitted frequency during the approach. It's identical at the instant of passing by, and it's lower